Welcome back to another F1 news segment. We're going to be talking about Typhoon Hagibis and its effect on the Japanese Grand Prix, the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix. So yes, this is a weather video. Set your expectations. I do not want to waste your guys' time. You guys know I take that very seriously. So I'm going to just not hide the ball. I'm not going to bury the lead. This is about weather and the Japanese Grand Prix. So if you're not interested, just know that. But this is one of those things that I track. Tires, which Tire Tuesday today, I'll bring you the tire report, and we'll touch on that. But tires and weather are two of the most important things to me because those are the two things that affect the actual strategy of the race itself. And that's why I think, as an F1 purist, so to speak, which it will cut against the grain of what I say about the weather, but that's the most fun part of racing is the strategy. People say stuff's boring, but yeah, it's because you're watching the broadcast on popular news stations. They don't show the midfield battles. We all know that, but this has been the most popular, the most entertaining midfield battle we've had ever. So this year, in my opinion, but the races themselves are so much dictated by the strategy, and weather and tires dictate strategy. So it's important to talk about the Typhoon and the weather. So the Typhoon is absolutely a monster. And I think this is one of those things where I went into the story and I've been tracking it thinking, oh, it's just people, making mountains of molehills. But it's a monster. And it probably will degrade rapidly the second it touches landfall. This is not the first time Japan, of course, has seen a typhoon, and it won't be the last. And it certainly won't be the last during a Formula One Grand Prix, which, the last time we had a pretty major one. Well, no, it usually does happen around this time, but even in 2014, we had the unfortunate incident with Jules. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I talk a little bit about it in the blog with Jules Bianchi, but mostly because it's important to remember that at most tracks, like we think of Germany and other circuits, it's good to have wet races because we think it's good. It makes for entertaining driving, and it makes it difficult for the driver. Even the drivers themselves will admit that. But Suzuka's is very different. So again, we'll touch on that a little bit in the Tire Tuesday and the tire race and the tire video. But the Suzuka circuit, it's not necessarily the downforce that's an issue. It's the lateral gravity loads. So the G they pull at Suzuka is massive. It's the highest you can be categorized by Pirelli. And that's why they've opted for the C1, C2, C3 compound, the tire compound combo. So again, I'll touch on that later, but in the tire video this afternoon. But it's important to see that Suzuka is not the track you want rain. It's not, I see a lot of people celebrating, oh, it's going to be, that's this one. And maybe this is where I'm not the purist. I think I am, but I don't want to see a wet Suzuka. It's like the only race I don't want to see wet Suzuka because it's just already a good circuit. Adding water just actually is danger. So I think they need to be really careful. It happened a few years ago where they postponed some things. They will do that. They don't like to do that, but they will if they need to. And I think they're going to be especially mindful of that. The drivers have had a lot more of a voice in the past couple of years. And I think now more than ever, because they're in conversations about 2021 regulations, their voices have been respected. And I know the drivers do not want to be in a dangerous situation, of course. So all that said, it's important to track this actual storm so you can find all of the coverage in the blog. I'm not going to sit here and make a ton of videos and grift and just try to get views. So I'm not going to make a bunch of videos about this. I'm just going to make the one, and I wrote the blog, and I'll keep the blog updated. But this is a monster storm. It's a category. It went from tropical storm to category 5 overnight, and it's the fastest this has happened in years. So I cite a lot of people who, I searched and searched and found the best possible sources, and I'll continue to update the tweets. I'll continue to update the quotes that they have. But let's see, the VIIRS instrument snapped this image of the super typhoon. So you can see here the eye of the storm is just terrifying. And so it looks like it will strike landfall about Saturday. From my understanding, looking at the spaghetti maps and trying to find as many meteorologists talking as possible about this from a authoritative point of view, it sounds more like it's going to hit between qualifying and race time. So keep that in mind. It was going to be later. It looks like it's moving up slightly, and with the rapid degradation, it's not going to just sweep over the circuit. Now, it looks like the rugby match might be a little bit more in danger because of the position on the map, but just keep that in mind. But regardless of the storm and how it progresses, it's going to bring rain. The typhoon's going to bring rain. And so I've got another quote here from weather. So after passing, let's read, after passing the northern Marianas, Hagibis should turn northwest, then northward. As is typically the case, the timing and sharpness of the curl will be key in determining where the most serious impacts will be. Mainland Japan appears to be at greatest risk for direct impacts from Hagibis. Hagibis will be weakening as it nears Japan because of increasingly unfavorable upper level winds. That said, it should still be a strong and dangerous typhoon. So Stefan Dietz, who was, I believe, the former F1 meteorologist, is tweeting about this, and he's saying, generally the system will weaken significantly before reaching Japan, but it will stay powerful. Today, models see a slightly faster propagation, so main impact on F1 could be already on Saturday. So yeah, it's looking like there's that window. Again, for me, it's at like the race for me is at 3 a.m. So 3 a.m. Sunday, I'm not gonna have a good weekend, but all for you guys. So it looks like it's going to hit between qualifying and race time. So keep that in mind. But it looks, yeah, it's good. It's going to be a wet track, but let's just hope it's not dangerously wet. I'll probably get some flack for that, but I just don't want to see. I don't want to see danger. I don't want to see danger. I understand the sophistication of driving, but not at that level. Not at the level of Suzuka. Which, if you're thinking, Nick, you're crazy, just watch the Tire Tuesday video coming out. I have very strong feelings about Suzuka and Japan, and I understand why they went to Fiji, and I understand why they came back. But that's basically it for this video. I'm going to keep it at this length. Make sure to check the blog if you want updates. I'll be sure to put it here. I'm not going to grift you guys and make a bunch of videos about the weather. But I also don't want to downplay and try to sanitize the fact that this is a massive storm, and first and foremost for the safety of the people of mainland Japan and all the islands it's already swept across, we forget, and all the land masses and micronations. But let's remember that the safety of the people is important. And then, we've got our precious F1 race. But from an F1 perspective, this will be a tough race. And I kind of anticipate it not even being as fun. I don't look at it like a Germany. That's a different circuit. So yeah, again, I'll try not to touch the weather entire Tuesday because I touched on it so much here. But if you're someone who's nerding out and like this sorts of stuff, like the weather and how it impacts strategy, make sure to follow F1 News. Make sure to subscribe. I will be doing a good mix of this sort of content. So a lot of people aren't going to like this, and that's personally, it's fine with me. This is for specific people who really, really appreciate F1 from all perspectives. But yeah, I'll be making some more videos coming up soon. Tire Tuesday, which I love tires. It's a big thing in my life, and I think it should be in yours too. So we'll talk soon. Thanks for checking this out, guys. As always, I really appreciate you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. My videos in my channel, in particular, independent commentary, does not get the sort of support that YouTube gives to big channels. They actually prop us down, and they push up big, giant channels like you-know-who. So all the support, it does make a difference. And when I don't say it, I notice it. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you as always, and we'll talk soon.